into day one of the LPL 2018 Spring Split. We just saw Rogue Warriors take down Suning Gaming in a 2-1 series, and now we're on to our next series and last series of the night, JDG versus TOP. And Raz.
Hey.
There's the elephant in the room. We have to talk about it. TOP and their loss streak.
Yes. They thought we would forget.
We never forget.
They
like,
thought
change the name.
Everything, even the color, blue to red. No one would see it coming. But yeah, it's there. 11 losses in a row when they were as Dan Gaming.
And we do need to clarify, because this isn't an NALCS, EULCS situation. This ain't no best of ones. These are best of three series, and they have lost, what, 13 best of series in a row?
14.
Oh God.
No! Yeah, it happened. So yeah, it's unfortunate for TOP that this is what they had to deal with. And you wouldn't believe, like, if you look, really challenge yourselves. I'm gonna look at you people out there. Try and find another team in the world that has lost this many series in a row and are still like in a league. Of course, this is one of the realities of franchising, is that we get to see teams find a way to claw themselves back, and this is what TOP are trying to do to TOP.
I mean, they're effectively, what, the Detroit Lions? That team's, no, Cleveland Browns.
There's a lot of teams that we can keep hitting here. It's not going to be pretty.
Scraping the barrel, and the thing is it's the same roster. Again, these are pretty much the exact same lineup. One of the big adjustments that TOP made is that they swapped out their coach. Or BSYY is no longer with them. He was actually on the stage just the other day.
Yes.
And it's the same trick. Like, Dan Gaming used to be known for their 20-minute Baron. TOP, the very first game they go into, 21-minute Baron. What changes here? How do you fix this?
The first real bit would be to be able to at least challenge the early game. Whenever it comes to a lot of these teams, if they just don't have the base structure around them, you'd say, well, how do we perfect the early game? How do you guys get into a game and not necessarily always find yourself in a massive deficit? And I can't find that other than Ggoong in terms of being able to push a lead for themselves, because he's always on the Talia picks at sometimes, trying to find early game picks and try to impact other lanes. But if he's playing against these other teams, like he played against Rogue Warriors and they were nullified in lane by Doinb, then there's no real, it feels like there's no way for them to take a breath.
Does he get any sort of advantage facing JDG? I mean, this team, they lost Doinb as their superstar. They're basically trying to reboot themselves. Clid is still their jungler. I think he's kind of the name that everyone will go to with this roster just because he does have that reputation.
Yes.
Are we looking at anyone else on JDG? Because I know Zoom has some hype.
Zoom is a big one. Zoom is he has an option to carry, but he can play those tanks as well. This is where you look at JDG and you're like, wow, that's real potential. I want to see where they go. And you know, in contrast, I don't see that with TOP.
So who are you weighted towards, quickly?
I'll give it to JDG.
Okay, that said, we're going to throw it over to the casters. It's Dom, back to cast. Here we go, guys.
Welcome, everyone. That's right, it's me, Dom, back to cast, and joining me, we've got Crackling Clement Chu. How are you, Clement?
Well, how was Songqing? I heard you spent a night on the toilet.
I did, yes. Praying to the porcelain gods, I believe it is called. No, it was great. We got to see the Snake venue. The feature video that you guys are going to see is awesome, but that's a story for another time, because, Clement, we have got a match on our hands. It's TOP versus Jingdong.
And match we do, man. Yeah. Like, I feel like Jingdong is this team that had very, very low expectations coming in. You know, they released Doinb. They had 3 new players for the Demacia Cup, and people were pretty down on them. But so far, we've seen so much potential for this team. This is a team that eliminated World Elite from the Demacia Cup. So far, they've also defeated LGD Gaming on their home turf. And I just feel like even though this is a team without stars, we can see all of their parts shining on their own.
Absolutely, and we're going to be looking towards some of those stars during this game. Of course, Jingdong struggling to find a new identity without the likes of Doinb, but perhaps they'll be able to further solidify what they are currently making, because the cook is in the kitchen, and I cannot wait to see what Jingdong is brewing. Let's get into this pick and ban. It's TOP versus Jingdong. Zoe, Ezreal, and Kalista. You want to keep Loken off of those safer champions that he prefers so much. Meanwhile, Azir, Kog'Maw, and Sejuani band away with Malzahar as first pick.
This really seems like TOP is taking a page out of the Jingdong playbook. They're taking the Malzahar first pick, like Yagao has done also on the blue side. And they're very respectful of what Jingdong could bring to the table. Zoe and Azir are the two best Yagao picks we've seen so far. And also they like to place Loken on Ezreal, where they don't need to divert too many resources into that lane. So TOP, I think they've definitely done their research. First Varus pick coming in from Jingdong.
Yeah, let's actually talk a little bit about this Varus pick, because we were talking about how Loken, he likes to be a little bit more, Jingdong likes to put him on those self-sufficient champions. Varus isn't exactly self-sufficient, and now with Ornn locked in, this could be Mao for support, this could be Zoom taking it in the top lane. To me, this says Jingdong is already assembling what looks to be a bit of a team fight comp.
Yeah, this is very different from the usual Jingdong we see. Clid typically likes to gank the top lane and the mid lane. With the Ornn, I think you're going for a bot-focused team play game, just because Ornn has so much potential when he does get that teleport down in the bot lane. For TOP, I think these picks are pretty standard. They're taking away a counter against their Malzahar in the Tahm Kench themselves, and also picking up the Gangplank for Moyu, more of a bruiser player. Zoom also has that bruiser potential in the top lane, so it's going to be very interesting to see what how that goes here. TOPs has a lot of opportunities here to ban away the counter champions to Gangplank.
Yeah, we're going to see what those will be, of course, as Jingdong and TOP now going to go through their next phase of bans. Clid returning towards that Kha'Zix, tons of mobility, huge damage, potentially massive effectiveness. But now it's up to Jingdong to start limiting the remainder of TOP's pool. We're looking at XX, we're looking at QiuQiu, the AD carry in the jungle. And so far, Jarvan still an option, taken off. Now they're going to see what's next. TOP, they're still hunting through Yagao's pool and trying to decide whether that Ornn is going to go top or bottom.
Yep. XX has a pretty wide pool of champions. We've mentioned Hecarim and Shyvana, which is he is actually known for. So banning out the Jarvan, I think, is smart. They want to deny them a easy initiation play in the mid lane. This is what TOP's composition is currently setting up for. You want that Gangplank to stay in lane, use his cannon barrage wherever the Malzahar is, and pick up a clean kill. So taking away initiation options is very important from Jingdong. Indeed, we see also the Zac being taken away. That complements their comp very well. So TOP is kind of in a tough spot right now, because they still need to find an initiation from their jungle position.
And this is a pretty big pickup, banning away Yagao's Rise. He's been very strong on the champion, and he's really made a lot of success as a roaming mid laner, especially here with Jingdong. But as I say it, Rise is taken off the board. Well, guess who else can ignore walls and just hop freely around the rift? Kassadin is still a huge champion. I'd love to see if Yagao takes it. Yeah, he locks it into a Malzahar from Ggoong.
That's a new champion we see coming out from Yagao. Not one you see very often into the Malzahar, because it typically has difficulties when they want to go into the team fight phase. Malz can just wait on his ultimate and then stun you for the entire duration. So if he's going to play this pick, I feel like he needs to open up the map early and try to make picks around the map. If the game is too closed down and it does go straight into a team fight phase, I actually think it's going to be a bit difficult from Jingdong. Another pick we're seeing that's rarely been taken is Caitlyn. Now, Caitlyn received a huge nerf to her early game in the previous split, and we don't really see her that often. You're kind of giving up a lot of early game pressure. I'm not sure how that pick is going to go into the Varus.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out over the course of this matchup. Still, there's a bit of flexibility with the Ornn for the other half of that lane, but the next pickup, XX taking Shyvana in her second game here in the LPL, and this actually looks to be quite oh, excuse me. I believe those numbers are just updated. That is the first pick, so that's why she has a 0% win rate.
Yeah, that would... Yeah, she was banned before, but I don't...
I see.
Yeah, she only picked once. Okay, so yeah, just updated.
Yeah,
never mind.
We're pulling stats out of thin air here now, and then the Taric going into that, but ooh, this looks to be quite exciting. That Ornn will be heading up into the top lane, though, as Taric is picked up from Mao on the bottom half of the map. And just like that, we've got our compositions. Jingdong looking to scale and looking very scary in some of these team fights, whereas TOP, they're going to be trying to do some of the same thing with that Gangplank, with that Caitlyn.
Yeah, I feel both teams did their research and targeted very well. So right now we're seeing a lot of compositions that I don't necessarily see as being top-notch in terms of fitting the entire picture together. TOP, I think their main problem with them is they actually lack a lot of pressure in the bot to mid lane. So this is going to be free camping season in the top lane against the Gangplank. And on the other side, we have a skirmish-oriented team composition coming in from Jingdong. The only problem is the AD carry needs to be very well protected in this type of scenario, where if he gets caught out, he's going to get killed incredibly easy. Shyvana is actually a very good pick into the Varus because she can deny that ultimate CC duration now that she's unstoppable during her Dragon's Flight.
And of course, the massive damage that she's going to do with 1, 2, 3 auto attacks with that Twin Dragon Bite, plus a traditional auto attack just on top of that. So it's up to what looks to be Loken to survive that burst of damage. But again, Jingdong, this is a team that is looking for a new identity. They seem to have found it in Yagao, in Clid, in Zoom, but this is a composition that revolves around that Varus, revolves around that Kassadin. So perhaps this is Team Jingdong expanding their repertoire.
Yep, and I love Jingdong as a team. You know, there's this, they basically are the Amazon of China, and we do buy a lot of things from them. I do feel very invested in that team.
We don't have to sell this, Clement.
No, they're not paying me anything.
Okay,
I'm just doing this out of the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, no, but it is going to be good for Jingdong to try to flex a little bit more like this. TOP, of course, on the other side, they're going to try to bring this down because like we heard on the desk, they have got the worst loss streak. I suppose the best loss streak, depending on how you look at it. The longest.
Oh, I've seen longer. I come from the LMS, where our 8th place teams are pretty random, basically.
Well, fingers crossed that TOP, they have backed up to the edge of Oblivion, and you could hear the fans starting to cheer them on, still sticking true to the team.
You still have further to go. I've seen like 27 series losses, so it's fine, man. You guys still have a chance to pull it back.
And just like that, we've loaded onto the Rift. Jingdong versus TOP. And it looks like defensive lines across the way. Taking a look at masteries. They appear to be remarkably standard for the most part. Unsealed Spellbook on that Taric to allow him to swap around. Comet on Yagao. That's pretty interesting. And I believe that's Airy on Zoom as well.
On Zoom.
Yeah, on the Ornn on the top half of the map.
That's one we haven't seen before. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it does have a slightly shorter cooldown than the Comet, so perhaps he's expecting to trade a little bit more frequently.
Typically we see Grasp of the Undying or Unsealed Spellbook on top lane, but Ahri, I don't feel like you proc it that often as a Ornn, so it's kind of an interesting pick. We'll see how he uses it in lane once the camera pans up there.
Yeah. Again, he is up against that Gangplank, so I think he might be expecting to take a healthy amount of damage from those parlays as much as possible, and then just trading back with a quick pillar and some Flame Breath.
Yep. We're expecting a kind of slow early game.
Okay.
Neither of these junglers can really do much on their first gank, on their first clear. The Shyvana goes fairly low. We can see her clearing out all of her individual camps, and same goes for the Kha'Zix. They typically don't have a very healthy clear, so I expect kind of a just farming up situation, and TOP really wants to hit 6 as soon as possible so they can enable that Gangplank Malzahar combo.
And as soon as that Gangplank Malzahar is available, that has huge kill threat, because you know XX is going to want in again and is going to want to get in on that action as well. If Shyvana can pick up some early kills, that just accelerates that terrifying late game that she can become.
Yep, Shyvana is just, once she hits level 6 and she has her E in dragon form, that just does so much damage. Coming for a Clid gank.
Clid stepping forward.
As he
leaps in for the auto attack. It's a slow with red buff. Look at that damage. Ggoong holding on, using only the heal before walking away.
And even though we said it would be kind of a slow start to the game, Clid still finds some sunlight to go in on Ggoong right there.
Yeah, relieving pressure for Yagao in this mid lane. He's definitely going to need it, because I do not think that laning phase is favorable for Mal. I think, are there any laning phases that are favorable for Malzahar?
LeBlanc sometimes,
maybe.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, XX.
We're seeing the level 3 Shyvana.
He's having a bit of trouble here. He's got that smite ready. Oh
Tahm
man,
Kench is coming in.
XX. He's getting real low. That's a late smite, 1500 health, but a 3.5-minute dragon as Shyvana slays her brethren, the Cloud Dragon, very early on.
getting extra resistances for that. Typically, when we see Shyvana do this play, it's a level 4 solo. So I feel like Jingdong might have been caught off surprise. We've seen this being used in the NA LCS as well. Mike Young famously doing that and getting the first Ocean Drake off the map. But this time, you can see the team is really coordinated around this Shyvana pick, and they know what they want to do with it. So a really fast Dragon Sneak there.
Perhaps we could be seeing TOP step back from the edge of oblivion, that massive loss streak. And still they're trying some new strategies, bringing out the Shyvana, trying to go for the early dragon. Perhaps they could maintain control over that throughout the course of this game. Still, though, we've got about an even mid lane as Ggoong is pushing back into Yagao. Bottom lane, Loken is being pushed in by QiuQiu and Fage, which is about expected for the Caitlyn. Topside, Zoom is having himself a great time pushing into that Gangplank.
Yep, has really not been disturbed at all. The Shyvana is on the bottom side of the map, so Moyu just has to play it incredibly safe. It does, in fact, look like Zoom has the Aerie, so this is the first in professional League of Legends where we've actually seen Aerie being taken on Ornn. This is definitely a very good interview question if I get the chance.
Yeah, well, we'll have to pocket that one away for later. He is taking a bit of damage here as Moyu, very low on mana, trying to bait him in to suffer some turret hits. But Zoom doesn't fall for it, and Moyu will get the chance to recall. Let's see, about 28 minions. I don't know if that's quite enough for a Sheen. He's cutting it close. Yeah, the full Sheen. There he goes. Teleport right back in.
Yep, and we could also see Clid coming up to assist, just making sure that the Shyvana is not around in the area. Or if he does get lucky, he might be able to sneak a kill in before that stopwatch becomes available for Gangplank in the top lane.
And meanwhile, Ggoong happily farming away in this mid lane as Malzahars are wont to do. Standard minion dematerializer to clear those waves out super, super fast, then group up with XX and start roaming around the map.
Yeah, this is very interesting. We've seen 3 series now that Malzahar has actually been first picked on the blue side. Now remember, Malzahar, though good, has taken a huge amount of nerfs in the previous patches, and it's kind of exciting to see him being placed so high in the priority these days. I think the reason could be with the addition of Gangplank and Varus, it's probably easier to make these lockdown plays around the map, so that's why might be a reason why we're seeing so many teams hop onto this trend. Typically, it's been the Azir in terms of like win rate or rise, so it's kind of a new trend we're seeing now.
That Malzahar, very high priority. We'll see if Ggoong is able to put it to good use as Yagao was spotted by a very defensive ward placed by XX. Still both junglers taking that Ranger's Smite, the warding trinket, warding jungle item to provide vision of the other side. And 6.5 minutes in, we haven't seen too much excitement as everyone's content to just lane against each other.
What we really need to pay attention now that Malzahar is level 6 and still has 1 charge on his minion dematerializer is how is he going to use it to create a roam to other lanes. So let's just pay close attention to where Ggoong is going on the map. Actually, he's heading bot lane right this moment.
XX, looks like he's about to get level 6. He does indeed tick over towards it as Clid steps forward, only level 5. That super fast Shyvana clear. So this might have been a pre-planned play from top, but Clid responding correctly, making sure he's nice and safe. Yagao even pulling in to bait that Malzahar back, but there it is. Level 6, just zoning away that Kha'Zix, getting him away from these wards. Yeah,
that was a very dangerous play for Clid right there. You could see that the Kassadin, Yagao had to step between Ggoong and Clid's position just to prevent the Malzahar from moving into that lane, because if you have the Shyvana, the Malz, and the Gangplank ultimate, there's a very real chance of Clid just simply dying right there.
And now they're contesting this blue buff. You can see that Yagao is on his way along with both of the bottom lanes, but Smite allows XX to secure it, and his own blue is still up to hand over to Ggoong. So, small win, but a win nonetheless for TOP.
Yeah, so far TOP's strategy has really been working out there. I kind of underestimated the bot lane pushing potential of this Caitlyn against the Varus. Of course, the Caitlyn was a counter pick, and they were able to keep this shoved all the way. So the main problem about Caitlyn is that her mid game is incredibly slow, and her early game is also very fragile. But if you can keep the pushing game on, you can make plays like this where you're moving your jungle into the enemy blue buffs. Both blue buffs now secured by TOP.
Yeah, Ggoong is able to pick his up before heading back into lane, and certainly thrilled with that. But take a look at this. Yagao uses the opportunity, pushes
already
in.
Trading very heavily in the bot lane.
Roaming the bottom. Yeah, QiuQiu down to half health. He's got heal and flash. Level 6 is picked up by Mao and Loken.
There's no help for them coming in, but Malzahar appears back in the mid lane. That's enough to force Yagao back to the mid lane to farm up.
Trying to not give away too many minions to the blue buff of this Malzahar. Has to keep catching CS, and he's still keeping up in minions in that mid lane. 83 to 81 as Yagao continues to catch this wave. Doing a great job into this. Meanwhile, Zoom still just having himself a great old time against Moyu up here. Double Sheen for the two of them. Airy seems to be doing pretty effectively.
Yep, but he should start he needs to be very careful of Clid coming in. We've talked about this, about how like the bot lane might not have enough pressure for them to force the jungler down, and we're seeing this gank coming in right now.
Ooh,
misses the knockup.
Misses, baiting with his health, but that's a minion wave, and Moyu, he knows better than that. He does not take the bait. Still hasn't spotted Clid, though.
Oh, they're going to go for the dive here.
Yeah, this is a long play. And again, Clid did take the Evolved Void Assault, so he will be stealth. There goes the call of the Forge God. Look at the burst damage. He's knocked up, but he's able to get under the turret with just only a flash.
Yep, and once he's under there, he still has his stopwatch. Jingdong pretty much have to call it off. They do get the ult and the flash from the Gangplank, though, so still a win for Jingdong in the top lane.
Meanwhile, the Ocean Dragon has spawned. You can see Mao is using the opportunity to set up vision, but XX is still very aggressively farming. Finished off the Devourer pretty early on. So that is going to be a very scary Shyvana once the clock goes on a little longer, once she gets a few more levels and items, but moving towards the Dragon, spotted out by Jingdong.
And for Shyvana, she's really about game pacing. If she's is able to keep ahead of the game and get her Frozen Mallet early, this champion is very scary, able to 1v2 the bot lane very easily, but we have a team fight coming in.
Yeah, Mao going in solo, manages to get the stun. Look at this, XX is solo, he ults, picks up the Dragon, but Teleport is going to get Zoom to follow up. Ggoong goes golden first blood, follows it down, the knock-up, the lock-up, the kill. Fage running for his turret, but the stun catches him despite the trap. He's still got gray health, so this could be a big shield, but it's going to quickly decay. Loken is looking for the chase, he's looking for the kill, fires the arrow, but heal keeps him safe.
Oh, that was very close for Fage in the bot lane right there. This skirmish, I think the main thing we take away from it is about Gangplank. We know that as a champion, he really doesn't teleport to the bot lane. He doesn't have much contribution there. So once Zoom was able to force out the cannon barrage in the top lane, teleports to the dragon fight, and it's a very easy cleanup from Jingdong from that point on.
And with that momentum, Jingdong are able to pick themselves up 2 kills. They lose some health, but here's that fight again, and it all starts with Mao.
That teleport position was just way too good for Zoom. Even though he doesn't have his ultimate on cast, still able to flash in and finish up basically 2 kills. All of the TOP members trapped in that dragon pit, nowhere to go for them. So, you know, it's cool getting the dragon, but they need to think about their escape routes before they actually commit to it.
And despite just seeing a gank top from Clid and Zoom attempting to kill Moyu, they are both able to make it to the bottom half of the map. That being said, they get the kills, but they're hemorrhaging objectives here. That's now 2 dragons picked up by TOP almost on the clock, and Rift Herald at 11.5 minutes. Plus we're seeing pressure bottom. Top, they have a very aggressive neutral game here.
Yeah, but for Jingdong, I still think they have a lot of chances to come back into the game. Both of these towers, though very low health, still need TOP to kind of to converge on them and take them down. So Jingdong does have these opportunities to kind of find engages on them. And for Jingdong, I don't think it's really the end of the world once they lose these outer turrets, because they do want to play around a kind of open map and free Yagao from the mid lane anyway. So I don't think this is the worst thing, but they do want to leverage these sieging opportunities from TOP to try to get a bit more kills on their carries.
Yagao currently sitting at 1-0. He's got a Rod of Ages, so even if he doesn't get the kills, he'll have time to give him stats. Stacking up with that, we're starting to see the Guinsoo's Rageblade finished for Loken. Zoom, he's finished off his own Iceborne Gauntlet, ready to slow people down as best he can and allow his carries to finish off the kills. But 13 minutes in, despite excellent neutral control from TOP, Jingdong are still only about 200 gold behind. And you know, I really shouldn't be so surprised that TOP have a good neutral game, considering their proclivity towards 20-minute Baron. So maybe they've just expanded their repertoire to get more neutral play involved.
Let's just hope that does not happen. Because a lot of times when TOP does that, they actually have other options on the map that can win them the game. Like, that's just a Hail Mary, and you don't throw that many Hail Marys. Like, it's not always going to work. That's why it's called a Hail Mary in the first place. For Jingdong now, I think what they should be looking, looks like in...
Oh, did Ggoong cancel it?
Yeah, Yagao actually canceled it with his Null Sphere, so very good interaction and prediction there.
Wow, he buffered the Null Sphere into the channel. That's right, because it only interrupts the channels.
Yeah.
Ggoong gets hard denied by Yagao. Read him like a book.
Yeah, that was incredible prediction there, and that really takes away all the threat that Ggoong has on the map.
Suddenly, this Kassadin pick is making a lot more sense, because if Ggoong decides to target Loken, Yagao hops in and says no. Oh my goodness. Yagao, you clever, clever boy.
That's why he's so hyped. You know, we've seen a couple Chinese websites. They can be a bit hyperbole, but they have been hyping this guy as like, oh, teenage faker, is he coming?
Well, maybe. We'll have to see. Give him a little bit of time. Give him a little time. Bottom tier 1 is taken by TOP. That is first brick and a healthy boon of gold to TOP, 1,300. That will be shared between XX, QiuQiu, and Fage, which I'm sure the Shyvana and Caitlyn are quite appreciative of.
Yep. The next play for Jingdong here is really wait till Zoom has his ultimate and then try to find a flank somewhere. It's best that you get Yagao's teleport in at the same time. Currently, I feel like Jingdong is having a lack of engage options. That's why the game is kind of slowing down for them. They really need to wait for top to make the move.
Oh, but here's the play. Clid chases forward. Call of the Forge God. XX tries to save Moyu, but he goes golden. That's the cannon barrage. Clid in the front, but that's Yagao. You talked about it. He joined the fight. He gets 1 kill. Clid goes golden to try to save himself. He's healed, and another kill picked up for Jingdong. Suddenly, that's going to be leaving Ggoong all by his lonesome. Poor guy's got nowhere to go. He might try to buy some time, but he will almost certainly go down. Gets the suppression. Again, he gets denied out of it, and he dies. But Jingdong... TOP, they're using the time to push mid. They got a lot of damage, but Loken is able to defend. Meanwhile, Jingdong trying to finish off this top tier 1 turret.
That was an incredibly smart play from Jingdong. So I thought they were going to wait a while and see where the Caitlyn lane goes and then use that teleport to punish. They didn't wait. They just went in with Ornn.
Oh, that's actually a fight onto Fage. Yagao's coming in from behind. Oh, man. I can't even say it. Janitor Kassadin cleaning up the fight as he always does, even gifting a kill over to Loken.
And we can see that presence of mind on Yagao as well. Last time we saw that, Xie at All-Stars was able to rift walk 12 times in a row to clean up team fights. This is getting really out of hand for TOP at this point.
Rift Herald used almost in a panic by XX to try to stall this minion wave and clear it out. He's not going to be able to use it offensively to take a turret, but he does keep his tier 1 in the mid lane still standing. So 16 minutes in, Jingdong, they're picking up the kills. They're starting to win some of these skirmishes, but still the neutral objectives have been in TOP's control, TOP's control. They might be looking for the next one, but Clid, he's hungry for some damage, misses the Void Spines. Whoops.
Just a little love tap. Just want to know that, hey, man, I'm in the area.
Pats him on the back.
Yeah, pretty much. So Jingdong, you know, we've been saying this when TOP were pushing down turrets, is Jingdong doesn't really care about these objectives going down as long as they can get kills on them. So we're seeing Yagao now already 3-0-3. With his Sheen already up, he's probably going to go for that Lichbane build, a very fast split push build for that matter. Things are getting very scary for TOP at the moment, and they really have to watch out for Ggoong's ultimate. They really need to hold on to that nether grass and use it on Yagao.
And now take a look at this play that TOP are setting up right now. They've got 4 people on the top half of the map, but Zoom just clears the wave. Mid is being pushed, and it could be a potential turnaround as TOP, they collapse in. That's the Abyssal Voyage. But Loken and LvMao just walk away.
Ggoong doesn't have flash, is unable to close the distance right there.
Still, that mid-tier 1 is very low health. They might be able to get here before Loken can clear the wave. It's going to crash into TOP. They don't even contest it. They just turn around as 5 and fall back.
Yeah, this is really risky doing this. Your Zoom already has his teleport up, and you're going to have to face a flank from your bot lane. So I don't really blame them for kind of stepping back and assessing the situation again and going, okay, we might get that turret, but we also might get aced at the same time.
Not the very safe play. Especially knowing that their favorite objective in the whole wide world is coming up in just 2 minutes. It appears on the map. Zoom, he's making his way down towards this mid lane, sitting on that Call of the Forge God, as you mentioned. I mean, who needs to use teleport where you can just walk it up? They're actually sieging towards mid right now and breaking it down. Meanwhile, there's action bottom. Yagao is unable to get the Nether Spear. Flashes, Rift walks away. That's teleport from Zoom. He's going to try to turn this into a fight. Yagao looking for the slow. That's the whole call of the Forge God.
Gets the first hit, get the second hit as well.
He gets it. He chases. Ggoong is dead. Late teleport from Moyu to try to get in as Zoom is way too deep. Almost certainly giving up this kill. Bit of redemption for TOP as they are finally on the board.
I feel like that was super over-aggressive from Jingdong. Yagao couldn't really go back into the fight anymore. Shyvana was there. She could have easily killed him right there. So it was kind of Zoom going, I really feel like it was overzealous in using his flash for that as well.
Did manage to get the kill onto Ggoong. Maybe it's just about sending the message like, hey, even if you do get the full channeled ultimate onto this Malzahar, I will chase you down myself.
Don't mess with my teenage faker. He's untouchable.
That being said, though, still, it's very close to even. We're seeing Jingdong with about a 1,500 gold advantage, 3-0-4 on that Kassadin. Zoom 4-1 and 2 with an abyssal mask on that Ornn on the top half of the map. Now Wit's End is finished for Loken. Jingdong are quite happily scaling.
Yep, Jingdong in a very strong position right now, especially this is the time when Varus is much more powerful than Caitlyn on the map. Caitlyn still looking for that 2-item edge to really start ramping up in the late game. The next team fight, I feel like TOP, the players to watch are really Fage and Ggoong to see how they can lock down Yagao and try to keep his damage from wiping out Chocho at this point.
Yeah, you can see Yagao. He's being a little bit more respectful here now that he was unable to get the Null Sphere onto Ggoong's Nether Grasp. Wow, that is really, because you have to predict the ultimate from Malzahar. Yeah. The animation is almost instant, so that is impressive.
You read his mind right there. Yeah. You know, they probably met each other in the void. He knows what he's going to do there. So.
Oh yeah, you're actually right. Perhaps even a little bit of the lore matchup as well. Malzahar stole Kassadin's daughter and took her into the void,
He's
and
a kidnapper?
she disappeared. Yep. In the old lore. We don't know if that's been confirmed in the new lore yet.
Okay. That changes my perspective on Kassadin a little bit.
Yagao perhaps looking for a bit of revenge in the lore matchup. But still, we're just waiting for these big items. Static Shift finally finished on QiuQiu, so he does have that 2-item spike. Morello's and Haunting Guise for Ggoong, allowing him to get just a bit more damage with that magic penetration as Loken has picked up red buff.
We can see the problem from TOP right now is they can no longer go into that sieging game. The only outer turret left is that mid turret, and they're a bit too afraid to go into that. Yagao is just so fed at this point. He already has his Lich Bane up, so that's a free split push lane for him. We can see that Jingdong are pivoting toward his lane just because there's so much pressure there, and TOP is really struggling to keep up.
Ooh, Ggoong with the wave clear doesn't even get the Malefic Visions off. He's able to clear out most of these minions rather easily. Quick suppression, but Clid immediately cleanses. Look at that, the QSS very early on to keep himself safe, but at this point it's nearly a necessity against the Malzahar.
I actually felt like he was trying to bait that out.
Oh, Abyssal Voyage, that's a quick snare. Meanwhile, Loken flashes away, he's slowed. They are chasing up to him, but he's still able to get away from this. Clid goes in from the side, dodges the tongue lash. The stun is flashed away by Fage as TOP have got to turn and retreat. Yeah,
TOP don't want to fight this. They no longer have the Malzahar ultimate to limit Yagao's damage, and they really have to back out right there. That was a bit too telegraphed from TOP's side. They're unable to make a catch.
Oh, and look at this. Good suppression.
It's in their head. They think, oh, maybe Jingdong's going to play like we do.
They have to do our thing. But no, Jingdong, they're taking it nice and slow. That's going to be the blue trinket used. Clid with a slow, but still level 12 on XX. He's got a few seconds before his smite is back up, and that's Jingdong turning onto the Baron, getting that isolation damage from Clid. They're going to start working down its health. Yagao is on the side. Call of the Forge God with a 3-man knockup. Cosmic Radiance hits all 5 members. They are invincible as they chase down TOP. It wears off, but still Moyu is so low. Fage is dead, and Yagao, he's got the assist. He's got the mana. He's going to catch up to Moyu, who does not stand a chance, and he goes down. 2 kills to Jingdong.
I feel like this is just TOP. They have this plan for their first move, but they don't really think about the repercussions when it comes back to them. So they expended 4 ultimates when they tried to catch out Loken, Loken was able to simply just flash away, and now in the Baron Pit, they can't fight them anymore.
Ggoong has got his ultimate back up. He's ready with the Nether Grasp, but Yagao is on the side. That's the stun. XX dives in and solo. He smites early, and Loken locks down the Baron. The Nether Grasp is denied, and Yagao is going to make them pay for it. Another kill, 12-1. Jingdong take the Baron buff.
Valiant attempt by Top there. Knew he was going down, so he had to try this smite, but too bad for him. Doesn't really work out. They pick up more kills, and now we're looking at Yagao on 5-0-6. This man cannot be stopped.
Yeah, in the past, Jingdong might have had Doinbi as their heart, as their core, as the essence of the team, but now they found someone new and potentially better. 5-0-6. This Kassadin is doing work, and Jingdong are about to break the map wide open.
They have the split push threat at this point. I feel like their team fight is not really an issue for them. Caitlyn is still a ways off from that 3-item crit spike that she really needs to be useful on the map. So pretty much TOP's only choice now is to kind of stay back and defend their high ground.
The classic sit back, and we have late game, boys. We've got late game. Just hold it out. I'll scale, and we'll win the late game team fight.
Yep. The two most common phrases in Chinese solo queue is, one, we have late game, boys. Let's hang on. And the second one is, let's stop fooling around. I'm running out of cash in my internet cafe.
It's quicker to make a new game than to finish this one off. Well, tragically, this isn't an internet cafe. This is a stadium with fans in it. We have got the whole world watching. TOP versus Jingdong here. No chance to remake here, as Jingdong are going to try to close this out. And TOP, once again, they are faced with a challenge that they are struggling to overcome. 14 match losses in a row.
Yeah, that's quite a record. Just for the record, Deficio's loss record was, I think it was 13. So okay. TOP, you know, that's already surpassed one of our best casters. We might find another great caster from this lineup.
Yeah,
so
you're exactly right.
We don't know.
Oh, man, that just got real. We love you, Deficio, but also get better.
Yeah, I was on his team back then, so it's kind of my problem as well.
Okay. All right, Jingdong pushing in towards the tier 2 now. This is the terrifying split push. Kassadin in the mid lane. He doesn't have teleport, but he doesn't need it. Ornn in the top lane. Zoom happily pushing away with his own teleport prepped and ready. Loken, ooh, that's a stun, but Fage is able to pull himself away. Meanwhile, Yagao once again escapes from the threat of danger as XX used his ultimate, but that's 2 turrets going down at once, and still 60 seconds on this Baron.
And there's nothing that could have really been done there. XX did try for a pick on the mid lane, expended his ultimate, did not work, and we're seeing the Ornn converge here to get a bit more damage. Also has that Iceborne Gauntlet, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage to these towers.
Now the next wave crashes in 45 seconds. That's at least one more wave after this. QiuQiu takes some more poke as Clid happily chips away along with Loken. The wave is slowly starting to break, but it's just getting chipped further and further. Lichbane is doing some work over here. Yagao nearly has a teleport of his own as the Baron Dub Cannon minion continues to work on that turret.
So what TOP needs to do is that they need to make a decisive 5-man rush into the bot lane once this next wave comes in. This is the only way they're really going to get out of this situation. We can see Jingdong pinging on the bot side as well. They know this is the most likely attack angle for TOP. So Ornn is also moving in the bot lane. But unfortunately for Ggoong, if he doesn't commit to this, I don't really see them having a chance to really defend these waves.
Yeah, they're just sitting back, trying to hold on. You can see Yagao, he's forced to Rift Walk away from Ggoong as he did get chipped away. He's finally got his teleport back up. Tragically, it's right as the Baron buff falls off. So that means this is going to be a little bit more difficult for Jingdong, as Caitlyn very good at wave clear. Malzahar late game also, but that's a teleport call of the Forge God. Who needs Baron when you can find a team fight? Knockup, stun, cannon barrage, slows Jingdong on the way out, but the AoE is traded and the turret is still standing.
I feel like this timing was actually a little bit off for Jingdong. So the problem here was that Caitlyn was able to reach her 3rd item spike, while Jingdong was actually sitting on a lot of gold in that in terms of that team fight. They still went in just because the Malzahar was in the top lane, but in terms of items and gold spent, it might actually favor TOP right there.
You can start to see, oh, QiuQiu stepping forward. He's got his 3-item crit spike. He's starting to do some damage. Clid eats some big damage from Ggoong, and they decide to back away. But look at that. Call of the Forge God is already back up.
Yeah, they definitely saw Yagao in the mid lane right there. That's why they went for the risky play. But overall, you can see the difficulties of TOP really repelling the siege is that they have a lack of engage.
Whoa, good damage onto Moyu. He flashes away to keep himself alive as Clid collapses. There's the call of the Forge God. QiuQiu is the target with the knockups. Loken steps forward along with Zoom. They manage to break down the turret, and Yagao destroys QiuQiu. Sends him to the Shadow Realm there. That's the suppression. Cosmic Radiance pops, and Yagao is alive. It's a double kill, and they are chasing down even more kills without giving up one of their own. XX leaps in as Ggoong is forced to flash onto the fountain, but the inhibitor line has been broken. It's 5 versus 2, and Jingdong, their lust for blood has not been sated. They turn on to the Nexus turret. The first crumbles, the second breaks, and there is nothing TOP can do. 28.5 minutes in, Jingdong turn on to the Nexus, and they take game number 1.
Chocho still had his summoners. He was like, what happened right there? Overall, that game, I felt like, even though TOP had a very good laning setup, they had pushing lanes in the mid and in the bot. However, they couldn't play the game clean enough. I think that was their main problem. So they allowed Jingdong to leverage those sieging situations and really give over those kills to Yagao. Once Yagao was able to split push on that Kassadin, there wasn't really much that TOP's composition could do to punish them. They really lacked engage. You could see 4 ultimates expended, could not even catch an AD carry out in the mid lane. And after that, Jingdong just realized, hey, we can turn around and just get a free Baron off here. They even baited them into 2 team fights, getting a lot more kills again onto Yagao, and that game just kind of collapsed from there. I feel like this composition is too hard for TOP to execute cleanly.
They certainly had the right idea in the early game, but like you said, they just weren't able to transition it. You can see those massive spikes in gold. Once Yagao started to pick up steam, once Jingdong started to pick up steam, it just became so difficult. An 11,000 gold difference at only 28.5 minutes.
Yep, Yagao didn't need to do a lot of damage, but all of his damage was directly on the carries. Chocho was pretty much ineffective this game. This composition is a little bit too hard to run for TOP. Yeah. I think they need more crowd control, and they need more just go forward, go skirmish to the end type of composition rather than these sieging things.
I think it's so difficult because, yes, you might look at that and say, they have the Malzahar. They can just pick someone off with the Nether Grasp. But that Ggoong, the very first time he used his ultimate, he got immediately canceled by Yagao's Null Sphere.
Just read him
what
like
kind of a message does that send for the rest of the game? Because now you're suddenly conscientious of, oh my god, he can just say no to my big go button. It's almost like yesterday, the snake denial with the Braum. Houdier getting Mako's Call of the Forge God every single time.
Yes.
I love how this meta is evolving with these huge counter picks.
So far, this Malzahar first pick for blue side has not been working out all that smoothly. There are a lot of counters, especially in the LPL. We see the Corki being picked into it a lot. And now, apparently, if you have good enough mechanics, even picking something like the Kassadin is fine.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. We're going to go ahead and toss it over to our analyst to help us break down that game.
I loved Clement there with the Clark Kent to Superman. Got to get the glasses off. That's fine. Good job, guys. Raz, I know that the casters were talking a lot about the Malzahar, but we actually wanted to talk a little bit about the Shyvana.
Yeah.
Because I felt like that was kind of the core of TOP's composition.
It was. They got a good call. I think the pre-planning for them and pick ban was pretty solid in the sense you were like, okay, this game should go on a little longer. There was no hard lane for him to gank. I felt like, or at least there was no lane for him to gank.
He's got a Caitlyn, he's got a GP, he's got a Malzahar. Like, what's he going to do?
Even have the win rate Tahm Kench. I mean, that should be good on its own. So you saw these massive advantages coming in for him. Speaking of massive advantage, man of the match going into Yagao's pockets. Good on him. But it didn't turn into anything. Mostly because when they finally came down to that setup, it fizzled. They had proper wards. They got the first dragon for the Shyvana, and then what happened?
You're of course talking about the second dragon fight.
Yes.
So TOP, they realized they don't have any gank potential, so they decided to go for a farming jungler. He's power farming. Everything looks good, and then we run into a second dragon fight disaster.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate because when it's like all good things have to come to an end at some point, this was that one point.
And Raz, you talk about the wording. I mean, this looks really clean in theory. They should be able to see everything.
Yeah, and they kind of do. They have all the information present. It was just the mentality around it because they focused too much on getting the last hit on the dragon. And if you're going to do that, then the rest of the people just have to back away and make it a Shyvana only thing. But it feels like that was the first step in the wrong direction.
And I'm going to push you a little bit because we were talking while that game was happening on the analyst desk, and you used this word that I had never heard before called jobbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so in wrestling, jobbers are basically the people you throw at the big guy to make him look good. You don't expect them to lose. And I'm saying that just because Jingdong currently have the fastest games in the LPL. Their two opponents that they've gone through is LGD, and now, of course, going up against a losing streak, of course.
So you're saying they just get like boosted, they're looking good because everyone's basically fanning the flames.
So you're just trying to figure out what their real strength in. Now their next opponent's going to be Invictus Gaming. That's going to be the true test for them. But I just love what I see out of Jingdong because it just kind of showcases that they can take a step above these two opponents. Hopefully this isn't the last, of course, we see of TOP, and they can respond, but it's just looking pretty grim.
And we talked earlier about, Zoom up in the top lane, but it was really Yagao, the mid laner, what did they call him? Teenage faker on the cast over there that showcased a lot of strength and potential on the Kassadin.
Yeah, there's potential from him. There's potential from Zoom, as you mentioned. It just seems like there's talent and they understand where it's coming from. Bringing it from the LSPL onto the LPL stage, and they are surprising me because I saw them when they were in the LSPL. I wasn't that shocked when it came to Yagao specifically, but he's actually showcasing that he can do it on the big
Where do
stage.
you rank him versus Doinby? Because that was the thing. Doinby was the big front man of JD, and now they're trying to reboot this roster. Better,
I would say
worse?
it's better just because they look like a more cohesive team. I just need to see a little bit more just because they've only gone through the first sets.
Tentative.
Yes, tentative.
Okay, that's it. Raz isn't going to have a strong stance on Yagao just yet, but maybe we'll see a stronger stance in Game 2 right after this break.